A few years ago, I was attending a national lacrosse tournament at Yale University. This is the kind of thing you do when you're a parent. And in between one of the games, I was walking around looking at one of the vendors, and there was a guy selling t-shirts. And the main t-shirt he was selling had these letters on it. Large, capital letters, G-O-A-T. And I'm thinking, goat? What kind of a t-shirt is that? And the guy looks at me and says, no, buddy. Greatest of all time. And then because we're in New England, he says to me, and of course that's Brady. That's Tom Brady. And I looked and I said, you mean not Ali? Or Jordan? Or Serena? And we were going back and forth. You know, in the entertainment business, you might say it's Michael Jackson or Beyonce. In politics, maybe Churchill or Lincoln. Or perhaps you would say Martin Luther King Jr. or Mother Teresa. You see, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, well, that depends on what you mean by greatness. What's your assumption of what it means to be great? Now, we live in a consumer culture that is constantly bombarding us with images of what they want us to believe is greatness. And of course it involves a certain kind of beauty and fame and wealth and power and all kinds of achievements. Just watch any commercial or TV show or movie, and they are presenting to us an image of what it means to be great, what the great life looks like. And here's the thing, we absorb this stuff in our Cheerios. As you're eating your Cheerios and drinking your coffee, it's just coming into our pores so that we don't even question it. We just take it for granted, and our kids believe it, and so do we. But here's the dark secret. The deep, dark secret about how our culture promotes what it means to be great. The dark secret is this, that if you do seek to achieve greatness by chasing after fame or wealth or power or money, you will be miserable. And if you read biographies, you listen to some of these folks, they'll tell you how miserable they were or are. And here's why they're miserable. Because you can never get enough. There's always going to be somebody else wealthier or more beautiful or more powerful who has scored more touchdowns. You can never ever get enough. It's like trying to fill a hole that absorbs everything you put it in it the minute you put it in there. And I think this is perhaps why we're starting to see more and more dystopian TV shows and movies and books. Because I think we're starting to question the assumed image of greatness. And maybe we're even starting to realize this can actually lead our country and our world to some real dangerous places. Now the good news is that Jesus offers us this morning a very different image of what it means to live a great life. And we need to hear this, we need to hear it over and over again, let it challenge our assumptions and begin to shape the way we live and make decisions. As Jesus and his boys were making their way through Galilee down to Capernaum on the northwest corner of the Sea of Galilee, they're arguing about who's the greatest in Jesus' movement. And Jesus knows this and can hear them arguing about this. Just after he told them he's going to die. Talk about clueless. And when they get into Peter's house in Capernaum, he sits them down, and he begins to challenge their assumptions and our assumptions about greatness. He pulls over one of Peter's kids, maybe his daughter, puts his arms around her, and says, if you want to be first, if you want to be great, be the servant of all. If you want to be great, if you want to have a great life, you must welcome a child like this one. And in Jesus' day, children were not thought of as cute like these kids, lovable. No, they had no status or power. They were to be kept silent and out of the way. So this is an acted out parable that Jesus is engaging in. And he's using the child as a symbol for everyone and anyone who has no status or power. Notice what he's saying. If you want to live a great life, serve those without honor and power. If you want to be a person of greatness, welcome and offer hospitality to those who are powerless and needy. You really have to get how Jesus' vision of greatness completely overturns, completely flips upside down our assumptions of greatness. Greatness is not achieved by status or power or beauty or wealth. Greatness comes, according to Jesus, by our care for those who are not considered great, who have no power or status. That means, get this, that means by Jesus' standard of greatness, the goats here, the greatest among us, the greatest of all time, are those who care for children and the elderly, those who care for the sick, our teachers, our first responders, those who care for the homeless and the dying. If we adopt Jesus' vision of greatness, these folks should be getting the highest salaries, not CEOs. These folks should be getting Emmys. These folks should be getting extra time off, all kinds of support. When you begin to think the way Jesus does, you realize our world is a long way off from where the gospel is and what the gospel is calling us to be. But don't worry, things get a little more radical if you sit with Jesus here. Because did you notice how Jesus' vision of who should serve and who should be served can really challenge our view of service? You know, in our country, look at the history of our country. It's the wealthy white people, usually wealthy white men, who were served by people of color, by people from the third world. In our country and around the world, especially in homes, it's men who are served by women. How many girls have to do all kinds of housework while their brothers sit around? Or today, sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes the kids are served constantly by the parents, and the parents are never serving the kids. How many white women in our country are served by black domestics? This is not service as Jesus entails it. That's servitude. It's crushing servitude. Watch what Jesus means by service. Service is the act of welcoming and reaching out to the needy, to those without honor or power or hospitality, not serving the wealthy and the powerful. Service is not servitude, where I'm serving the master or the rich man. Service is reaching out to the needy. See, in Jesus' world, when the kingdom really does come, the wealthy and the well-off and the white folks will be welcoming and caring for the needy, for people of color, for people from the third world. Imagine a new kind of Jesus restaurant where the wealthy come in and they pay to serve the kitchen staff. That's what Jesus is talking about. That's the kind of reversal, taking servitude and making it into service and getting straight who should be doing the serving and who needs to be served. He's calling for a different kind of world where boys would care for girls, where men would serve women. Imagine the well-off bringing the kingdom to those in need. Now, I want to make one more suggestion here about Jesus and the way he turns upside down our assumptions. And it has to do with our relationships. Because I think if you really sit with this passage, as he turns over our vision of greatness and service, I think he also challenges us to a new way of being about our relationships. Too often in our relationships, it's one person serving the rest. It's mom serving everybody on Thanksgiving and every day of the week. It's the wife serving the husband. A lot of times it's the one friend taking care of everybody else. What Jesus is inviting us to is something very different. It's the practice of mutual service. Not one person taking care of everyone else while we all sit and watch the football game. It's a practice of mutual service in which the friend is focused on the needs of the other friend. And the other friend is mutually focused on the needs of that friend. Could you imagine if husbands were focused on the needs of their wives? That would be called conversion. And wives were focused on the needs of their husband. Imagine if parents were focused on what the kids need and the kids were focused on what the parents need. Imagine the kinds of families and marriages. Imagine neighborhoods where people, it was just in their blood, they just automatically looked out for the needy, for the lost, for the lonely. Can you imagine what kind of families and friends and neighbors we would have? You know what kind of friends and families and marriages you'd have? You'd have the greatest in the world, the greatest of all time. And that's what we pray for every day when we come here and we say, Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done. So my friends, go out and live the great kind of life that Jesus wants you to have.